The German Foreign Minister Heiko Mass has arrived in Israel and will later also visit the Palestinian territories in the hope of brokering a peace agreement between the two parties. Overnight, more rockets were fired from Gaza and Israel launched another series of airstrikes early this morning. Despite this, a senior Hamas official says he expects Israel and Gaza militants to reach a ceasefire within, quote, a day or two. For now, though, cross-border attacks continue. Since the fighting started 10 days ago, more than 200 people have been killed, and many of those victims are children.
A young girl rescued from what was once her family's home, destroyed in an airstrike. She was buried in the rubble for hours as her siblings and mother died around her, calling for help. 2 days later, she's recovering with her father in hospital, severely traumatized. Her name is Suzy.
I heard the voice of my children from beneath the rubble calling me. I heard my son's voice calling, "Dad, Dad," before he suddenly became silent. He's 2.5 years old, and my daughter was calling me, "Dad, Dad." A few words, then she went silent too.
The Israeli army has been shelling the Gaza Strip, targeting Hamas's tunnel systems there. They reported that they took aim at about 50 targets, but there's no guarantee there won't be innocent deaths.
I have to say, we don't rule out anything. We hope we can restore quiet. We hope we can restore it quickly. I want to say that we're doing that while doing our utmost to avoid civilian casualties.
Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has called for an immediate end to the fighting. The attacks and destruction in Gaza are Israeli occupation-led state terrorism, a war crime that is punishable by international law. However, an end to hostilities in the Middle East still seems a long way off. Meanwhile, in Gaza, Suzy still isn't talking. She's only just started to eat and drink again. The doctors say they can't get her the psychological help she needs because of the fighting. If any victims are innocent here, it's the children.
For more on this, let's cross straight to DW correspondent Tanya Kremer, who is in Jerusalem, and she should be joining us quite soon. Alles klar, okay. Tanya, if you can hear me, there she is. German Foreign Minister Heiko Mass is travelling to the region this morning. What kind of diplomatic push can Germany or the EU contribute to ending this current conflict?
Well, there have been a lot of calls by EU member states and other countries to de-escalate the situation, but this hasn't really translated in the past days to any de-escalation on the ground. In Israel, the visit by the German Foreign Minister Heiko Mass, who landed here this morning, is seen as a visit of support and solidarity. The German Foreign Minister Heiko Mass has said before leaving that he also had a contact in the past days with his counterparts in Doha, Amman and Cairo, also acknowledging that the main mediation efforts are, of course, here locally, regionally on the ground. So there's not really the expectation that a breakthrough will come during his visit here today. He will be meeting with Israeli officials and politicians here during the day and will also then move on to Ramallah to possibly meet with the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas.
Now, Tanya, we understand that there have been no rocket sirens since 1 a.m. in Israel. Is this possibly a sign that hostilities are slowly decreasing?
Well, there hasn't been rocket fire for almost 7-8 hours starting from midnight, but just about over a half an hour ago, 40 minutes ago, there were rockets being launched from Gaza, mainly into the near border town areas around the Gaza Strip in Israel. So, of course, on the other hand, we've seen also in the report, Israel has continued heavy bombardment on several targets and areas in the Gaza Strip. So, of course, there's a lot of speculation here now whether, this, longer periods of quiet might indicate that there's a willingness, at least from the Gaza side, to quietening down. But, nothing is for sure in this regard.
And yet we have heard Hamas say that they expect to reach a ceasefire with Israel within a day or two. Is that plausible, Tanya?
Well, there are a lot of reports on that at the moment, but we have to stress there were a lot of conflicting reports about a possible ceasefire in the past days as well. Now there are reports that maybe a ceasefire could be in place sometime by Friday. So there are reports that Egypt, as one of the main mediators, is stepping up its efforts and that details are being hammered out at the moment, but nothing is confirmed on that. That is happening, of course, behind the scenes. And also the question is, what is the position of Israel? Because we heard Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu again stressing that Israel, at least publicly, he said that wants to continue its military campaign. So until when we know when it's happening and ending.
All right, DW's Tanya Kramer in Jerusalem. Thanks so much.